It's time for Watts on Wealth Radio with Barry Watts and your host, Amy Sharp.
Hi, everyone. Welcome on in to Watts on Wealth. I'm Amy Sharp, happy to be sitting alongside Barry Watts, retirement designer and tax strategist, and Jeremy Zickefoose, retirement designer and Social Security specialist, joining us today on our show. We've got a great one for you, lots to get into. We're going to talk about Roth conversions. What's exciting about that? What could it mean for you? We'll get into that conversation as well as other topics, all relating to retirement today on our show. But first, we want to start by sharing our phone number with you. This is the direct line to connect with the team here at the Wealthcare Corporation. It's where it all begins. There's no cost for it. There's no obligation. It's just an opportunity to come on in, meet the team, sit down, talk with them, find out a little bit more about them, and learn about their 6 steps to retirement confidence, leading you towards a successful retirement. There's lots that goes into that, and they do it every single day here at the Wealthcare Corporation. 417-200-3500 is that number, 417-200-3500. You can text the word visit to that number as well. We'll share that several times as we go throughout our show today, too. Guys, how are you today? By the way, your haircuts look great. Is that random to start? We see our listeners don't know. We have to tell them.
Well, we're doing great today.
They're mocking me because when we were getting ready to go on the air, I called my barber while they were all trying to do sound checks, and I scheduled an appointment.
We're trying to get started on the radio show, and I
got stuff to do, and I'd forgotten to do that, and I needed to take care of it.
Jeremy's talking about important business that he has to take care of. Meanwhile, Barry is on the phone making a hair appointment while we're trying to get started. It is crazy. And of course, then we got into the whole, men versus women and what we pay and how long we spend at the salon. But
I think we probably need a separate line item in the retirement budget for the female spouses' hair care.
Haircuts,
I do worry about
products,
that a little bit. Yeah.
Lotions.
I do worry.
So
just an idea. It's interesting as I think about our clients, there's half of the group who, yes, the ladies will have some expense to keeping their hair together. And there's the other half of the group that I doubt they spend $20 a month on their hair.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of interesting. It's all what group you're with, and I don't want to know what my wife spends on that. And then that keeps me happy.
Well, she's lovely. So I think, it's worth it. Whatever she spends. I'm on Team Kelly.
I'll go out here on a ledge and get myself in trouble by saying this. One of the things I've noticed, my hair is gray, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've noticed is that many of my peers, the people I grew up with, my mates from college or from even high school, you'll see them and it's like, oh my goodness, what happened to her? She's got that gray hair. And I have come up with a philosophy, ladies, Clairol is your friend. So if you're one of those ladies who's used a little Clairol to avoid those gray hairs when they come in,
you don't like
okay. It's okay to keep using it.
Yeah.
I do have a friend in Kansas City. So she's not within the reach of this broadcast, so it's safe to mention her. I have a friend in Kansas City who has lovely hair, lots of it.
You're treading in really.
But she recently decided, I'm old enough, I'm just going to go over the edge, and she allowed herself to go all gray.
We're tired.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, Lori, don't let it go all gray. You had such lovely dark colored hair.
See, why is it that men can do the salt and pepper and the gray? And now we're going down a rabbit hole. I knew that. Yeah.
Just how it works here at Wealthcare. But here's the deal. We help you get whatever color hair you want in retirement. It's our job to fund that.
A little look on Jeremy's face right now is just.
Hopefully it's natural colors. I don't want.
Well, no, I don't.
80-year-olds with bright pink hair.
Or blue. Have you seen that Congresswoman? There's that. Is she from? I don't. I feel like she's from Texas. She's like 85, and she has
blue streaks or something.
It's like orange, tangerine.
I don't know.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is.
So let me just say this: if you've got. If you have foreign colors in your hair, you're probably not well suited to be a client of Wealthcare. Woo! We're going out on the edge now, aren't we?
Wow, we've started today just with fighting words, haven't we?
Isn't that interesting? The whole purpose of the show, is to educate people, and they call us and they actually come to us and allow us to help them plan retirement. And now I led by saying, don't come if you got foreign colors in your hair.
Someone's feeling spicy and salty today, but I think, yes, the color is up to you, and to feel confident in yourself. We talk about confidence a lot with retirement. And that goes for everything, Barry. So yeah, whatever color.
Would you like to talk about rings in the septum in your nose? Looks like a bull.
I don't want to go there at all.
We could talk about that. I'm against those.
I'm against inflicting pain upon myself other than childbirth. So I've always kind of said, probably no to tattoos, no other ear piercing or piercings beyond what I have in my ears. But again, to each his or her own, but I just don't want to inflict pain intentionally upon myself.
There's enough pain in life unintentionally. So, volunteering for it's probably not a good idea. Yet, in retirement, we see a lot of people volunteer for pain.
That is true.
Because they make stupid decisions.
Unknowingly.
Yeah.
So,
it's always unknowing. Because they just don't know what they don't know and don't know what they were supposed to do. And so they just fired off and did the wrong thing. Because the guy at the water cooler told them that. Go ahead, Amy.
Well, and so many people don't come to you, would you agree with this? Because they feel like they don't have the right questions to ask. They don't have the right documents gathered to show you once they arrive at the meeting. And so those dumb decisions tend to maybe pile up because they just don't feel like it's a little bit of analysis paralysis, trying to is this the right thing? Do I need to work with this? Do you see that a lot?
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, it's all right.
A lot of times I see that people just don't even know what questions to ask in the first place. I find people actually saying that all the time we don't even know what questions to ask, or especially once we start getting into more complex topics that there's a lot of miscommunication or misinformation out there about, especially in regards to taxes. A lot of times, even recently, a week ago, I had a gentleman I had rated himself I think an 8 or 9 in regards to tax out of 10
the best
in regards to being fully prepared in retirement for taxes to have either reduced or maybe eliminated taxes in retirement. I was like, wow, that's really high. I haven't seen that before. So, what are your strategies that are helping get you to maybe the 0% tax bracket in retirement? And he laughed, chuckled at me and said, what do you mean? Everyone has to pay taxes in retirement. And as we started going through the conversation, he very quickly realized that his ideas of what maybe tax strategy was out there or what was just going to be a reality in retirement is completely incorrect. And he was set up to, pay hundreds of thousands of dollars more in taxes than he needed to, simply because he thought there was no way around it. There's no way around required minimum distributions. Well, everyone pays taxes on Social Security. Well, that's just not the case. And as we went through a couple questions that I asked him about these things, very quickly he said, well, I think I might need to update my score. Might be more of a 3 out of 10 instead of an 8. And I was like, that probably sounds more correct.
So he didn't know what he didn't know.
Correct. It's
so I'm going to confess here and tell you, as the founder of a retirement planning firm, there are things about retirement and retirement planning that I don't know. Because the field is so large, there is so much detail. And we do this all day, every day. We know an awful lot. But my point is, you could never have all of that knowledge filed in your head. There are new things coming along all the time, which is why we continue to do continuing education. We spend a lot of money on that and a lot of travel time on that and so forth. And so if you've spent years, even as the CEO of a major, even a publicly traded company, well, that's the kind of person who's going to know what they don't know more so, and they're going to come for help. But we run into a lot of people who just think, I got it figured out. I don't need you. And, now we got AI.
Yeah. Or they think that maybe, my financial advisor will help me with taxes, or my CPA will help me with taxes. But a lot of times people don't realize, well, CPAs, they're not doing tax strategy. Their job is tax compliance. And most of your financial advisors out there, a good overwhelming majority of them actually aren't allowed. They're not permitted to give tax advice.
So we had something kind of interesting happen in the office this week. There was a lady came to see us, and she worked at the front desk for a major Wall Street firm that has offices in every small town in America and has probably 6 or 8 or 10 offices here in Springfield, a firm headquartered out of St. Louis. And this lady came to see us. She works for that firm, but she came to us for retirement planning.
Yeah, that's really odd. And you know what she said?
Why was it?
Well, she said, because they can't do tax strategy. They can't do tax advice. Oh, sure, they can manage my money. But when it comes to a holistic retirement plan, that's just not what they do. And so even though she's working at a firm that all they do is money management, she very quickly realized that as she's getting towards retirement, there's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of places where you could unintentionally hurt yourself, make incorrect decisions that might be permanent and last the entirety of your retirement, cause you to pay more in taxes, get less of your Social Security, pay more for Medicare. And so she decided that in her best interest, it would make sense to go to someone who specializes in a holistic retirement plan that addresses all 5 of those critical areas of holistic retirement plan. And so that's what led her to our office.
And so there's the very lesson. If other people who are in the financial industry are coming to WealthCare for their retirement planning because they recognize that the firm they work for, and some of these people are the people that you go to for your help, and they're coming to us for help because they recognize that their firm doesn't have the resources to do those kinds of things. One of the mistakes that people make is they think that retirement is all about investment. It's just about, quote, picking the right mutual funds or mixing it up with a little stock or something like that. And now with all the information that's available online and with the advent of AI and ChatGPT and Claude and all the other kinds of things, well, those can build portfolios for you. So, Barry, you're obsolete. What would I need you for? Well, you just have addressed less than 20% of what we do. Because even though they may tell you what theoretically the right investment mix will be, they don't tell you how to handle the taxes in the most judicious way. They don't tell you how to protect yourself from declining stock markets, which we're due to have. They don't tell you how to deal with long-term care and how to file for Medicare and how to handle your estate planning. All of the things that are a part and parcel to a holistic retirement plan. And that's what we specialize in at WealthCare. Yeah. We help people plan their whole retirements, and investment is only a small portion of that.
Yeah. And even if you use some of those, ChatGPT, Claude, you have to know the right questions to ask in the first place.
And sometimes they're just wrong.
That is true.
I asked ChatGPT here a question a while back about our former Congressman Billy Long. Has he been appointed to the ambassador to Iceland? ChatGPT said, oh, yes, he's the ambassador to Iceland.
Yep.
So I picked up the phone and I texted him. I said, have you been appointed? Has it gone through the Senate confirmation process? And he said, no, not yet. Now, update, it has happened now, and Billy is now the ambassador to Iceland.
Are you saying ChatGPT is forward thinking? It's just forward
There you go. It's prophetic.
Sees the future.
Oh, the P stands for prophetic.
It's the crystal ball.
Well, I'm done. Show's over.
On that note, let's wrap up this segment. We'll take a break. We'll contemplate what we just thought about there for just a moment. We'll continue our conversation with Barry Watts and Jeremy Zickefoose here on Watts on Wealth. That number, as we leave you, 417-200-3500. Text the word visit and come on in and meet the team here at the WealthCare Corporation. We're back right after this.
Explore how Barry Watts can support your financial goals. Set up a consultation by texting VISIT to 417-200-3500.
Do you think you'll pay lower taxes in retirement? Many people think that. Then the tax bill comes in and people realize they're paying as much, if not more, in taxes compared to when they were working. How taxes can affect your retirement is one of the chapters in Watts on Wealth, the latest book written by Barry Watts of WealthCare. Barry takes you through tax considerations in retirement. You'll also read about many other topics that could affect your retirement. Get your free copy of Watts on Wealth by texting the word book to 417-200-3500. Watts on Wealth is written to help you understand the must-dos to prepare for the retirement you desire. Text book to 417-200-3500 for your free copy. As a local independent advisor, Barry works for you, period. So don't miss out on this opportunity to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. Get Watts on Wealth now by texting book to 417-200-3500.
Investment advisory services offered through WealthCare Asset Management, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Explore how Barry Watts can support your financial goals. Set up a consultation by texting VISIT to 417-200-3500.
Welcome back into Watts on Wealth. Amy Sharp alongside Barry Watts and Jeremy Zickefoose, both on the team here at the Wealth Care Corporation. They're on my team each and every week when we sit down and do this radio show together. And of course, they're truly, truly on your team when it comes to designing a retirement plan that will get you to and through retirement. That's really, really what it's all about, having that plan in place. And we're off to a roaring start already, as we are each and every week here on our show. Lots to get into, of course, but we always want to share the number with you because this is where it all begins. 417-200-3500, 417-200-3500. Gentlemen, before we went to break, I know we were on kind of different, we were going different places all over the place, but the point being working with somebody that knows what they're doing, working with somebody who does this every single day. And you were kind of looking at me like, Jeremy, you were like, I got more to add to this, because this is something that we see, we hear, whether it's here on the radio, when we do TV together, Barry, that individuals are thinking, one thing about retirement planning, they have this concept in their mind, and then they're not coming to visit, or they're coming at the wrong time. So there's so many different layers to this.
Well, so I want to give you this theme for this particular segment. Here it is.
Okay.
If you didn't know what you didn't know, when would you want to know? If you didn't know what you didn't know,
by Barry Watts.
When would you want to know that? Having that information sooner would be better. And that is classic for many people getting ready to retire. Jeremy, you had a case recently that came in who they already knew everything they needed to know, and they filed for their Social Security. They were getting their Social Security checks. And so don't need your help. Thank you very much. You're not of benefit there. And you were of benefit there because you found something they didn't know about. Tell us that story.
Correct. So this was a couple who they're in their early 70s. They've been retired for many years at this point, and they've got a healthy portfolio. But one thing that they hadn't ever really looked back into was Social Security. So she had been a teacher, so she didn't have a very big check. It was a couple $100s. And she had claimed her benefit when she retired, but then her husband worked a couple more years after her, had a far larger check, claimed his own benefit, and they just kept going on their merry way. Well, one of the big, huge pieces that people don't always realize with Social Security is that a lot of times, especially if there's one spouse that makes a substantial more than the other spouse, a lot of times it might make sense for the spouse with a lower check to claim a spousal benefit instead of claiming her own benefit. So whenever her husband went and claimed his own benefit, she could have then called into Social Security and switched her benefit to be now off of her husband's work record and get up to 50% of his full retirement age benefit. So whenever they had came in, they didn't know this. I mean, they're in their mid-70s that they never thought about talking to Social Security ever again. And after I ran the math, I was like, whoa, there's a huge missed opportunity here. We're leaving a good chunk of money on the table. You need to call them right away. And so she ended up calling them. And hot dog, I was very much correct. We were able to increase her monthly Social Security benefit by $941 a month.
Wow.
Every month for the rest of her life. That is huge. We're talking almost $12,000 a year in more income that they were leaving on the table that they never knew about. And so there's a lot of things that end up, trickling down this, because if you're able to get an extra $12,000 a year out of Social Security, well, then that means that's an extra roughly $1,000 a month that you're not having to take out of your investment accounts, which means, hey, now your investment accounts are going to last a lot longer. You might not cause a higher taxable event because those dollars are probably going to be taxed at a higher rate than maybe some of that Social Security income. Also, another thing which not everyone knows, if you ask politely, sometimes Social Security will allow you to do some back pay on that. Typically, we see about a 6-month back pay is what's normal. And so when we were doing the math, we were looking at it and I was like, well, they might be willing to give you about maybe $7,000 as a big lump sum payment as well. And she was able to actually get a hold of a really great representative at Social Security, which we don't see those
God
too
bless
often.
the Social Security people.
I know. Well, thank goodness. But this kind lady said, you know what? I'm going to look into this and see if we might be able to get you a little bit more because, I mean, she has been leaving that money on the table for a long, long time. And I think it was last week, she calls me in the middle of the day and says, Jeremy, I just want to let you know I am having the best day right now, and it is all because of you. She said that just by the Social Security alone, she said that I have helped change their life and make their retirement even better because not only is she getting that $941 a month every month for the rest of her life, but Social Security gave her a back pay of $26,000 into her bank account. And so they're just absolutely ecstatic. And
all the applause. It's great.
Oh my goodness.
That's fantastic.
I mean, that's huge. Imagine just getting a huge $26,000 deposit into your account. And now you're getting almost $1,000 more every single month from Social Security, all because of a phone call that she didn't know she could make. That's money that a lot of people leave on the table unknowingly. It's completely unavoidable.
So now she told you that it changed her life. Do you think it really changed her life? I mean,
well,
they had plenty of money. Anyway.
They did have plenty of money. Apparently, her husband was always wanting to get one of those little electric cars or
always
something.
about the toys,
I don't know.
isn't it? It goes
to
back
just drive
to the
around
toys.
town to save gas money. And so she said, my husband's excited. He's going to go buy that car now and use the dollar.
So it's her Social Security money, but her husband's going to spend it.
Yeah, I don't know. But they're excited about it. And she was just really, really thrilled. But see, that alone, so we're not even getting into investments. We're not getting into taxes. We're not getting into long-term care or estate planning. Simply Social Security, that right there. I mean, in 1 year, that's a $38,000 difference between the lump sum and the amount she could get from Social Security. My goodness, all from a single phone call that she didn't know that she could make.
Is $38,000 a year a big amount of money to somebody who spent their entire career as a teacher? I think the answer is yes.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Now, it didn't change their life because they had saved quite a bit of money over the years. And most of our clients, it wouldn't change their life, so to speak. But I want you to think about what you could do with just that extra $900 a month if you happen to be that person. That's money that could go to your grandkids to their college tuition, or if their college tuition's already paid, it's money that could just find their way into their pockets. If you had 9 grandkids, that's $100 per month per grandkid. That's $11,000, $12,000 a year. That'll take you on a pretty nice cruise.
Heck yeah.
So the point is there's lots of things that you could do with that money, and you were leaving it with the IRS instead, leaving it with the government. And it's all because you didn't know what you didn't know, and until they came to see you, Jeremy, and then suddenly you helped them know what they didn't know, fix their problem, made $38,000 off of that in the first year. Tell us a little bit more about your Social Security credentials and how is it that you're the Social Security expert? Because when we have a Social Security question at WealthCare, you're kind of the guy we go to dig into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I'm a national Social Security advisor, and that's really what our job is to look at is what is the best way to maximize your benefit? How do taxes factor into that? When should people actually be claiming their benefit? And should they be getting spousal? All these different rules, because all of these government programs are super complicated. There's a lot of misinformation out there about how these different things work. And by not knowing some of those different rules, well, you end up leaving a lot of money on the table. And right now, I believe there's only 5 people in the state of Missouri that actually have their national Social Security advisor's license. And the other 4 are all up in Kansas City and St. Louis. So I'm the only one south of there with that credential helping people out. And I find that kind of baffling because as people who are, there's a lot of people out there that are financial advisors or people that say they're retirement planners. We do some retirement planning, but they don't have these credentials. They don't know these things
and
about Social Security because everyone pretty much is going to be getting some type of Social Security. So shouldn't we all be well versed in this area where we can, make a big impact? Because like I mentioned, that lady that I just helped, get a lot more in Social Security, she had an advisor before me. Why the heck did they never talk to her about this? Why didn't they ever bring this up? Why did they never look at their tax situation and see that, my goodness, if they keep going down their current path, they're going to overpay taxes voluntarily by $300,000. Why is their advisor not doing that?
I can kind of answer that question for you a little bit because, I came into this industry 33 years ago. I was trained by people at the big Wall Street brokerage houses. That was my first exposure to the industry. And I'm going to tell you what they trained you to do in that day was sell. That is SELL. They trained you to sell mutual funds that had a lot of fees in them, by the way. And those fees, many of them got kicked back. Now, they don't like me to use that word, but that's really what it was. They got kicked back to those brokerage houses. And that's how the brokerage houses executives made their money. They didn't make any money off Social Security advice. They didn't make any money off tax advice. All they made money off of is if they had your money and you'd let them invest it in their particular brand of mutual funds. And so that's why they chose not to give that advice, is because they didn't want to invest any time in it because they didn't see it as a good return. Now, when I built WealthCare, I built it on exactly the opposite paradigm. I said, I want to identify all the problems people have in retirement, all the things that they need to address in retirement. Let's start with each of those and let's go to the bottom of it, figure out what the answer is and how to apply the right answers to each situation. And then we'll take the money management skill, which I had developed over the years and which is significant, and we'll charge for managing money. But in the process, we'll do all of this additional work, including the tax work. And generally, we don't charge for any of that work because it's all built into one price. So a lot of times when people come to see us and they think, oh, well, I don't know if I can afford you, or I don't know, I'm afraid your price might be a little higher or something like that. They don't realize how much value there is in all the answers to all of those other questions. You must have a holistic retirement designer working for you when you walk into retirement. And that's what we have. That's what we do at WealthCare Retirement Solutions, a part of the WealthCare Corporation.
Yeah, we end up with a lot of people who think they're getting some holistic plan or, oh, my guy does all those things. But most of the time, we find people are working at some of those big corporate national, almost the Dollar General store of financial planning, where all they do is some cookie cutter mutual fund investment advice, and that's it. They're not permitted to look at your tax return. They're not allowed to give tax advice. They're not allowed to give advice for Social Security. They're not really running the numbers to see how long your income will last month by month, year by year in retirement. They can't possibly help with Medicare or long-term care nursing home. Oh gosh, go talk to someone else about that. And they're not willing to touch anything with estate or legacy with a 10-foot pole. But you're paying them a fee, I'm assuming. So the big question becomes, why pay 100% of the fee to get 20% of the work? Because there's a lot of huge, big, important things in retirement that aren't just investment oriented. And so that's why we address those and we get them all accomplished so that you can be more successful, have more confidence in retirement. Instead of having maybe 5 different guys all around town, let's have one group of people who can do all of these things, one phone call, one place, holistically get it all done so that you have successful and a confident retirement.
417-200-3500 is the number to reach out to the WealthCare Corporation. What you don't know, we can tell you a little bit more about if you tune in each and every week here on the show. We're back with Barry and Jeremy right after this.
Prepare for retirement with key insights from Barry Watts' WealthCare Kit. Get your essential guide by texting KIT to 417-200-3500 and start planning today. That's 417-200-3500, KIT.
For a more confident retirement journey, get Barry Watts' WealthCare Kit. Discover strategies for life's biggest retirement challenges. Request yours by texting KIT to 417-200-3500. That's text KIT KIT to 417-200-3500.
Welcome back into Watts on Wealth. I'm here with Barry Watts, retirement designer and tax strategist, and Jeremy Zickefoose, retirement designer and Social Security specialist. We've gotten some great insight about that specifically today on our show already from Jeremy. We're glad to have both of these gentlemen alongside me for this week's edition of Watts on Wealth. They're both with the WealthCare Corporation. And the way for you to connect with the team is as simple as a phone call or a text for the word visit. You can text or call this number at 417-200-3500, 417-200-3500. They're going to walk you through their 6 steps to retirement confidence, kind of a staircase towards building that successful retirement plan, the important piece that you need, the foundation of any really confident, successful retirement is having that plan in place, having someone that can help you along the way. And it does begin with as simple as a visit. So many times, like we've said throughout the show already, you don't know what you don't know. You don't maybe approach the appointments or make the phone call because you don't know the right questions. Come in, they're going to make you feel better. It's going to be a good conversation, a good get to know you, and hopefully help you feel a little less tense when you walk out the doors here at the WealthCare Corporation. 417-200-3500. I brought up Roth conversions at the beginning of the show because I wanted to touch base on this to see. It's always good to hear stories related back to this idea of paying the taxes up front. It's sometimes people don't want to think about that. It doesn't sound fun to them at all.
Amy, that's a part of a broader conversation, which is just taxes in general.
Sure.
And so one of the things that's really remarkable to us is that the people who offer themselves out to the public as financial advisors don't deal with taxes. In fact, Jeremy was researching one of them this week, and you found on their website, it said things like,
it says, the employees and financial advisors cannot provide tax or legal advice. You should consult your attorney or qualified tax advisor regarding your situation.
So in my opinion, if a person is going to hold themselves out as being a retirement specialist, they ought to be able to address the taxes, because taxes are a part of, in some cases, a third of anyone's retirement, and you need to be able to address that tax. And so we have credentialed our people. We've got CPAs in the office. We've got enrolled agents in the office who are actually the tax experts. We train all of our staff on dealing with tax returns. And when you come to see us at WealthCare, one of the first things we ask to look at is your tax return, because we're looking for places that we can save you money. We had a client in this week. You and I were in the same meeting where Jeremy would save that client about $34,000 in taxes.
Mm-hmm. Just this year.
Yeah, that's just this year's tax. And then their future revenue out of all of those investments will be tax-free from here on.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the ways that you achieve tax-free money, and this is not what we were doing for this client, but it's just one of the things that's common to a lot of people, is we help them understand the power of the Roth IRA. And the reason the Roth IRA is so powerful is because taxes are going to go higher in the future. We should do a show on nothing but the topic of why taxes are going to go higher. And in a couple of weeks, we could probably do that when we have some time. So just for now, just buy the idea that taxes are going to go higher in the future. They can't go lower. And so what's going to happen is, as taxes go higher and you're withdrawing money out of your IRA retirement accounts, and you have to pay tax on it when you take it out, or when you start taking required minimum distributions at age 73 or 75, well, then you're going to be paying more and more and more and more and more in tax. So the way to avoid that is through using a Roth IRA. And you can take what's in your IRA account and move it over to a Roth IRA account, pay the tax today at today's lower rates, and then it'll be tax-free for the rest of your life and won't impact the taxability of your Social Security. So, Jeremy, you had a guy come in recently who had made a terrible mistake, and it wasn't really his fault with regard to Roth IRAs. Tell us about that.
Correct. Well, unfortunately, he had been misguided. His advice that he was given was just not the best. Actually, it was just wrong, to put it bluntly. Basically, he was working with one of those big kind of, Dollar General type cookie cutter mutual fund investment companies around town who is not permitted to give tax advice. And about 3 years ago,
to be clear, Dollar General's not in the retirement or tax business. So it just occurred to me that Dollar General could be offended by us calling him a Dollar General type advisor. But I think you understand what we're talking about. And if you're very sharp, you probably know who we're talking about. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Regardless, about 3 years ago, apparently he had gone to his advisor and said, well, should I be doing Roth conversions? He had seen some things about Roth conversions online and learned about it and figured, gosh, I might be, that might help me. And his advisor, who's not allowed to give advice, simply talked with him about how, well, I can't exactly give advice on that, but I'm not seeing that it would necessarily, impact your situation very positively. I don't think it would make a big difference. And so they didn't go down the route of doing any Roth conversions.
Stop. Now, I want you to just notice how much work that advisor got out of.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to go read anything. He doesn't have to go study. He doesn't have to go learn. He doesn't have to go figure and calculate. All he said is, I don't really think it's a very good idea. You probably shouldn't do it. Now pick the story up from where
which is funny because if you're not able to give advice, technically he kind of gave him advice not to do it.
In reverse, yes.
But regardless, I actually did the math. I actually did the work. And
because that's what we do.
Correct. And I found out that, well, if he does nothing and doesn't do any Roth conversions, currently, right now, he is set to overpay taxes by $278,000 over the course of his retirement. Now, I don't know about you, but $278,000 is a pretty big amount of money to me. And I don't think that's nothing to say, I don't think that's enough to say, well, that doesn't really make sense if you overpay that or not. No, I think he got some very bad advice, because if you could keep $278,000 in your pocket, not give it to the knuckleheads up in Washington, think about what you could do with $278,000. How many years of income that could help pay for? How many trips you could take with the family? How much that might be able to help pay for long-term care, or what you're able to actually leave to your kids tax-free whenever you pass away, and you could bless them that way. So no, he got some, unfortunately, really bad advice 3 years ago. And now we're having to, kind of pick up the slack, and we're going to have to, if we're going to look at conversions, we're going to have to do more, because we just lost 3 years of doing conversions while tax rates are historically low.
And there's an optimal timing on these conversions when it works the perfect way. And if you're outside of that timing, it works a little less than perfectly. It still works and still works well, but it's a little less optimal than it would have been if you'd have done it in the perfect timing. And he actually gave up 3 years of his perfect timing years is the point.
Correct, because we're getting closer and closer to those required minimum distribution years. And so those years are extremely valuable.
And age 75.
Exactly. Yeah, they're very, very valuable, because if we can start getting those dollars moved over now voluntarily, when you don't have to be taking extra funds out just for required minimum distributions, we might be able to get it completely knocked out of his system to where once he gets to 73 or 75, he might be in a fully tax-free position where he then doesn't have any required minimum distributions. And unfortunately, after doing the math, because we lost those 3 years, that's not going to be the case. It will dip in. There's going to be some years where he still has required minimum distributions, just because he got some poor advice, or his person was just not willing to admit that, you really need to go talk to a tax professional, because that was way out of his wheelhouse.
And when we say tax professional, we're not talking about a CPA.
No.
Why. There are very few CPAs in town who could answer that particular question. Some of them perhaps could, but that's not what they do. The A in CPA stands for accounting. The certified public portion of that, the CP portion of that, it indicates a designation that qualifies a person to do accounting for a publicly traded company. So if you get to be a CPA, you are then qualified to do accounting for publicly traded companies. That's the only purpose of the CPA. And yet, CPAs all over Southwest Missouri doing taxes for mom and pop farmers and store owners and little businesses here, there, and so forth. None of that requires a CPA. It just requires a tax professional of some type. Right. And that's something people don't understand is your CPA probably doesn't know. You need to go to somebody who's a tax strategist. There are very few of those around. Yeah. I was one of the first in that particular space, and I think probably still am the leader in that space in Southwest Missouri, because we do that internal analysis on all the different taxes you're going to have to pay and look for the opportunities to reduce those taxes everywhere possible, with a view to getting people into the 0% tax bracket where possible. And it is possible, but you recently had somebody argue with you and tell you that you can't really get to the 0% tax bracket.
That is true, yes. He just didn't think that was the case, because if you're getting income in retirement, well, all income is taxable income,
except for the part that's not.
Oh, goodness. Well, that just hadn't been factored into the equation, which is why you should be working with a qualified tax advisor. Even the big companies that aren't allowed or permitted to give tax advice in their own disclosures, you could probably go read it. It says for any advice on that, you should consult a qualified tax advisor regarding your situation. And so we are one of those people. And if you don't know who you might be able to go to, ask your financial advisor of, hey, are you a qualified tax advisor? And if not, who should we be going to talk to?
We should send Dollar General a thank you note and tell them thanks for sending people to us, because their website, it's not really Dollar General, but that's what you've been calling them all this
Correct.
time. Their website says go to a qualified tax advisor, and that'd be the folks over at WealthCare.
Correct.
That's what we do.
Right on their pages, it says specifically, go talk to someone to deal with that problem.
Go talk to WealthCare.
Yeah.
That would be great if Dollar General Financial would do that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sending them to us to get the advice that you're not willing to give.
We've got about 45 seconds left in this segment. Amy, tell people how to reach out to us so they can get help from Jeremy on these tax topics.
And who would not want to come in and meet Jeremy to talk about this very topic? And it's as simple as reaching out by phone. You can call, you can text. The number is 417-200-3500. You can text the word visit to that number. Come on in, meet the team, meet Jeremy, meet Barry if he's available. Meet anybody that is available, and an opportunity to get to understand what the WealthCare Corporation is all about. It all begins with that call, 417-200-3500, and they'll walk you through their 6 steps to retirement confidence, all things retirement related. We've got one more segment to go with Barry and Jeremy. We're back right after this.
Explore how Barry Watts can support your financial aspirations. Set a consultation by texting VISIT to 417-200-3500. Discover the possibilities at 417-200-3500 with a simple VISIT text.
Do you think you'll pay lower taxes in retirement? Many people think that. Then the tax bill comes in and people realize they're paying as much, if not more, in taxes compared to when they were working. How taxes can affect your retirement is one of the chapters in Watts on Wealth, the latest book written by Barry Watts of WealthCare. Barry takes you through tax considerations in retirement. You'll also read about many other topics that could affect your retirement. Get your free copy of Watts on Wealth by texting the word book to 417-200-3500. Watts on Wealth is written to help you understand the must-dos to prepare for the retirement you desire. Text book to 417-200-3500 for your free copy. As a local independent advisor, Barry works for you, period. So don't miss out on this opportunity to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. Get Watts on Wealth now by texting book to 417-200-3500.
Investment advisory services offered through WealthCare Asset Management, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Market volatility can be daunting, but having a strategy in place can provide stability amidst the uncertainty. Consult with us to learn about approaches that address market ups and downs. Call 417-200-3500 to set an appointment and secure your financial footing. Again, just call 417-200-3500.
We've had a great show today. Really good conversation with Barry Watts and Jeremy Zickefoose here on Watts on Wealth. We're glad to have you along with us as well. We know some of you tune in each and every week. If you're joining us for the very first time, we welcome you to our conversation, and we hope you're enjoying it. We hope you're taking something away from this conversation. We also know that you might have follow-up questions. You might be working with an advisor right now that isn't answering the hard questions for you, isn't talking about taxes with you, and being forward-thinking. The team here at the WealthCare Corporation can offer that second opinion. They do it all the time with clients walking through the doors here, looking for someone to give them the type of guidance that they're seeking, and they would love to have that conversation with you. It's all as simple as reaching out, 417-200-3500, 417-200-3500. Text the word visit to that number as well. All right, guys, we were talking taxes before we went to the break. I know this could be a whole show. There are stories that are hard to talk about, and then there are success stories that we like to share too sometimes. Do we have one today?
Oh, we've got lots of those, Amy, because success is what we do at the WealthCare Corporation. Mm-hmm. Degrees of success. Some people, our work for them is more successful than others. I'll give you a little tip on that. One of the ways to make sure you have the most successful experience is follow the guidance you're given. Because we didn't just fall off the turnip truck, as my dad likes to say. You know, this is well studied, well educated, well thought out, strategic in nature. And when we're giving tax advice or any other kind of advice, it comes with that kind of brand behind it, because we have put in the hard work to be sure what we're advising is really sound. But there are a number of cases where we've got stories that are just the opposite of problem stories. They're real success stories. People have done exceptionally well. And I want to address some of those stories, if we might. Jeremy, let's just start with the idea of how you avoid taxes on capital gains. So there are people listening this morning who just spit out their coffee because when I said you avoid taxes on capital gains, they said, well, you can't do that. And then they said, oh, I know what he's talking about. He's talking about one of those real estate exchanges when you sell one piece of property and exchange the money into it. No, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that came to light during one big, beautiful bill that passed the Congress, back in 25?
Well, actually, it first came to light in 2017 with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and then was made, permanent, and I say that in air quotes, with the one big, beautiful bill last year. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. So it has been around for almost 10 years, but virtually nobody knows about this, and I don't hear anyone giving much advice on it. In fact, I this week was on a trip down to Atlanta, met with 5 other advisors while I was down there who had come in from all parts of the country for a couple of days intensive together. And none of those guys were using the tool that deals with capital gains. And it's a missed opportunity for their clients, but go on, keep missing that opportunity, because that way, when we talk to your clients, they come over and they say, well, I want the help that comes from WealthCare. So let's talk about the most recent case that I dealt with. I had a client who so far this year had accumulated about $147,000 worth of capital gain. And because those were short-term capital gains, they were not going to get to pay the capital gains tax rates, which are either 0%, 15%, or 20%. They're going to have to pay the ordinary income rates, which are 24% in their particular case. So 24% of their $147,000 were going to go to the tax man. It was going to be like $35,000 or something like that. We introduced them to the modified version of what are called qualified opportunity zones that come out of one big, beautiful bill. And we said, look here, you have the option to not pay those taxes. Now, people get up in arms about that and say, well, that's not possible. That's not true. You have to pay the taxes. And actually, in a technical sense, you do have to pay the taxes. But let me ask this. If you paid the taxes with somebody else's money instead of out of your own pocket, did you really feel like you had to pay the taxes?
Well, gosh, that sounds like what the government does
all the time. You're absolutely right. And that's what one of these tools allows you to do. So in this particular case, we were able to take this man's capital gain, he and his wife, we took their $140,000 in capital gains, put it into this new tool that was created by the One Big Beautiful Bill. And when we put it into that new tool, it starts sending them income at the rate of 6% per year. And the taxes that have to be paid on it are covered by the first 5 quarters worth of income that comes out, tax-free, by the way. And after that, they will get their 6% income, no tax due on it, every year for the next roughly 10 years. And in about 10 years, their investment will mature, and it's projected, not guaranteed, but it's projected to mature at something like twice the amount of money that they put into it. So they've got a choice. They can either write a check and pay $35,000 worth of tax today, or they can use this qualified opportunity zone, pay the taxes with somebody else's money, and then create a tax-free income stream. In their case, every dollar that they put in was going to return to them about $3.2 in tax-free money. And it'll be tax-free for the rest of their lives. And so it's really hard not to like tax-free. In their case, they were going to make a little better than 12% per year, a taxable equivalent yield of about 15%. So unless you could make 15% taxable, it wouldn't have been as good as the 12% they were making. So that was just a case that we dealt with this week. Now, we've got any number of those cases that we've dealt with in the past. I use this tool personally to manage my own capital gains taxes. We had a couple of cases from last year. Tell us about those if you remember.
Oh, well, and this works on so many things, not just the capital gains in your investment portfolios. If you have a non-retirement account, this works with big businesses. This works with sales of property, like Barry mentioned earlier. And so all the time, we have a lot of farmers that come in, and we had a gentleman last, I think, October, who he had sold his farm, and there was about $2.2 million of capital gains. Whew, that's going to cause a pretty gnarly tax bill.
$500,000 in taxes.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, after using the same type of strategies put in place for him, he was able to cut that tax bill down to $0. Paid no taxes on $2.2 million worth of capital gains, all because we used strategies that were black text on white paper in the tax code. And it's funny how often we'll kind of come to battle with some CPAs who don't know this or
I've got one right now.
like to fight and say, well, God, you just can't do that. That's not true. I was like, I have a handbook put out by the IRS of how to do it.
We did one
Here
of
it
these.
is.
We did one of these last year for a doctor.
Mhm.
And his tax preparer, I won't tell you his name or what town he's in, but let's just say he's in Stone County. His tax preparer has said, nope, you can't do this. You're going to have to pay all his taxes. This is not how this works. You can't do it. The guy is wrong with a capital R. We might even make him wronger and add the W to it and make him wrong on both. He just doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's a tax preparer.
Well, that's not what their job is. That's why they don't know, because, there's 83,000 pages in the tax code, and your average CPA is dealing with about 7,000 or 8,000 of those pages, which is why having a qualified tax advisor is so important, because I know I hear this all the time in the news, or you might have a family member who's like this way, or you might be this way yourself. People will get on their, soapbox and complain, why are these millionaires and billionaires and now trillionaires not paying their fair share in taxes?
I wonder if Elon's got a good tax advisor.
I'm sure he does.
I bet he does.
Because the reason that they are able to avoid those taxes is because it is legal. There are provisions in the tax code that allow them to get around these different taxable events, and they have teams of tax professionals helping them do that. But the thing is, all of these codes, all of these provisions can be used for all of us Midwest millionaires. Everyone here, you can use them still. It's not about what, it's not about what you have. It's just really about what you know. And one of our favorite quotes, I think Barry's probably said this on the show before, but by the Supreme Court Justice Learned Hand, he said there are two tax systems in this country, one for the informed and one for the uninformed. Both are legal. And that, I think, is the big crux of all of this. If you are voluntarily paying more taxes than you need to, wouldn't you want to know that? And wouldn't you want to put a stop to that? Because I'm willing to bet that all of our listeners probably could spend those dollars wiser than everyone up in Washington.
So here's what I want to say. I get a little frustrated by this because sometimes we have people who come in and want to argue about this.
Mhm.
It's astonishing to me that they want to argue because this is what we do for a living. I'm an expert at this. I'm credentialed by the IRS on this. So if you want to argue about this, call somebody else. I'm not your guy. If you're paying too many taxes and you want to know how to avoid paying those taxes and what strategies you can use to get around that, I am your guy. Call us at the Wealth Care Corporation and we'll take care of you and show you how you can substantially reduce your tax bill and maybe even get you into the 0% tax bracket in retirement. But quit pushing back is what I want to say. This is what we do professionally every day. Under the oversight, if it makes you feel any better, of a former IRS employee who's a certified public accountant.
Imagine pushing back and saying, no, I need to pay those taxes.
And that's exactly what people do sometimes.
You're wanting to pay more?
And
okay.
It's, I don't understand those folks. We grew up in a different time zone, I guess, or something like that. It just doesn't fit me. But here's the big point. We love helping people, and we're pretty darn good at it. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but we're pretty darn good at more things that relate to retirement than about anybody I know in the space. And we love helping folks who get it and who want our help. So if that happens to be you, we invite you to pick up that telephone and call us at 417-200-3500. That's 200-3500 in the 417 area code. And just leave the message, say, I want an appointment to meet with an advisor to help me with taxes. We'll get you on the calendar and we'll have the conversation that you need to have.
All right, we are out of time. Barry, Jeremy, thank you so much for your great insight, as always, each and every week here on our show. Thank you to our listeners. We hope you'll join us again next week right here for Watts on Wealth. Once again, that number, 417-200-3500. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you for stopping by Watts on Wealth. If you would like Barry and his team to help you make a plan to get to and through retirement, or would simply like a second opinion on your current plan, give us a call today at 417-200-3500. That's 417-200-3500. And join us again next week for Watts on Wealth.
WealthCare Corporation provides tax strategy, tax compliance, accounting, and insurance services through its affiliate American Tax Strategies, LLC. Investment advisory services are provided by WealthCare Asset Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance never guarantees future results. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as the basis for personal financial decisions without first consulting a qualified advisor. The information and opinions you've heard are believed reliable but cannot be guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness.